Alright, time for another draft physics video presentation. Alright, so I'll do a little more of Stephen Bro. I mean, I jumped through the video, saw something that looked like an experiment, so I said, okay, I'll watch this bit. I went looking, I just can't watch it. I'm sorry, it's just so bad. I mean, it's just some sort of poem video that's an hour and a half long. It's just crap. It's not any counter argument to exactly what I said, or I'm not even in the video except for, the little quote mine piece where I say half the mass, twice the velocity. So, I mean, this isn't even an argument of some kind. And he's just constantly saying, I'm wrong. Yet he hasn't shown anything that's coherent. Well, anyway, it's just, I'm just sorry. If you can't understand why I find it so obnoxious to watch this disgusting pile of shit. Anyway, so, and then he's going, somewhere in here's the ripple tank experiment. Why is that in here? Anyway, so clearly the arguments have all been related to finding a mechanism that stores energy properly, a spring. So what I find out watching this is he did these stupid experiments. He's saying he's using a spring. He talks about, aircraft springs or something. There's no aircraft springs in any of these experiments. He's using some sort of contraption, okay, that's relying on gravity again, right? So this idiot, okay, like I said, he doesn't consult anybody. He just does his stupid figuring out his engineering, and he doesn't ask anybody, does this make sense what I'm doing? So he apparently has some sort of device, okay, that's got a weight on it. Okay, so as the weight falls, the weight pushes the little lever, right? So it's not a spring. So none of this isn't anything about springs. This is about some sort of lever contraption, okay, an inverted lever. Well, the problem with using weights, okay, you're back to gravity again. And the problem with gravity is it goes 9.8 meters per second, and that's not even true. When something first falls, in the first meter, it only travels 4.9 meters per second. That's less than 10 miles an hour. So if you need a speed faster than 10 miles an hour, this system can't deliver it. Even if you put a ton on here, you put an elephant on here, gravity means everything falls at the same speed. It doesn't matter what the weight is. It falls at the same speed. So all it can do is go 9.8 meters per second. It can't go any faster than that. That means your lever can only go 10 miles an hour. Depending on how you've positioned it, you can, obviously if you make one of these arms longer than the other, you can change the speed. But that's your only chance. Okay, but it's still, you're talking about weights falling at the same rate. This isn't storing energy. First off, you're not creating a storage device and then releasing the energy. You're feeding off of active gravity. So, so he's debunking my spring arguments with a lever and gravity. I mean, first off, that should be, why are you saying you're debunking his arguments when you're using a completely, I haven't analyzed this to point out all the reasons why you could say this is going to work beyond just recognizing the obvious reason is this device can't create high velocities. There's no way it can create a higher velocity than the speed of gravity. The elephant can't fall any faster than the theoretical feather. So this arm can only move at a certain maximum speed, and that's it. So depending on what it's pushing, it doesn't matter what it's pushing is what you can do. If you put an elephant on it, it's not going to matter what you're pushing. You're going to push it at exactly the same speed. But the problem is it can't make different speeds easily. So I mean, this is just, so let's play this crap. And it's crap. I mean, here he just admits it in the video, and you're just saying, well, what the hell are you talking about then?
My plan was to speed this up. I've got to make it double the velocity. So I've got to make it double. What I'm going to do is add some extra weight. Put this extra weight of water. So it's going to be trial and error. Adding this weight to the weighted lever that I'm using at the moment, to the weighted lever until I get it.
So he's using a weighted lever to push the cart. And he's been talking as if he's debunking the spring argument. I mean, the argument's always just been about having the right device to capture energy, to produce consistent energy, all of these arguments. And so he comes up with some new device dependent on gravity, which isn't a very good system because obviously you got all these different things about it, the velocity versus distance and all this other crapola, 4 times the distance, twice the velocity, blah, 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 blah. And obviously these things aren't falling, freely falling, so they're not going to gain any velocity. So all they can do is go at maximum the speed of the gravitational force, 9.8 meters, but obviously they're starting from 0. When you start from 0 in the first meter, you only go 4.9 meters. Have you accounted for any of that? Pathetic.
So it's double the velocity of the first set of figures. Now, what we got? 1027, 1061, 1006, 1010, 1008, 1009, 988. That's the lowest. That's the only one about that speed.
So the funny thing is he doesn't finish this experiment. So he's promising I'm going to double the weight and do the experiment, and he doesn't do it.
1005, 1010, 1011, 1045, 1023, 1044, 1043, 1043, 1043, 1059, 1027.
So this experiment, he did the experiment with 2 kilograms and then 4 kilograms, I guess, in the cart. Okay, and it didn't come out half the velocity. And clearly it shouldn't come out half the velocity because obviously the 2 kilogram cart might not be able to be pushed fast enough by your lever. Durr.
1045, 1023, 1050, 1045, 1062, 1042, 1042, 1044, 1045, 1024, 1043, 1045. I'd say it's averaging somewhere around the 1030 mark, really. About 1030. So if it's averaging, really, I mean, just rough, I'm doing this estimating in my head, really, that one. So just...
I think this was in sync before, so I guess it's YouTube. The videos of some weird quality that, you know, it's some weird format that YouTube's screwing it up. So sometimes it's in sync, sometimes it's not.
Roughly 1030 on the first run when that was full. So when that was 4 kilograms weight, then we halved the weight.
All right, so just to understand, see, what's not in this video is any explanation of the device he's using to push things and measure things. He doesn't even show how his electronics are working, how he's measuring the speed, nothing. None of these details again. Exactly like the first time, just completely ignore all the stuff everybody needs to know.
To 2 kilograms, but double the speed, don't we? Double the velocity. So instead of 1030, we then what? I've got to speed this up till it's to, what's half of 1030? 515. 515 is what we're going for, isn't it? Okay, 515.
Okay, stage 2. I've just did one test, and there must be a dozen more. I'm throwing it.
So he didn't do the test, I guess, or whatever. And this is just incoherent. For spring compression test 2. So this wasn't a spring compression. It's some sort of weighted lever. So doesn't make any sense. These inch numbers can't mean anything because it doesn't show us the device at all. Approximately 1/3 more compression of aircraft grade springs. I mean, where's the spring? You just showed your bottle of water you're putting on a frickin' lever. What are you talking about?
This information together a bit, so they aren't in the right order. Should be obviously stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It hasn't worked out that way. Oh well. Bollocks. For stage 2, that was for spring compression test 2, the light and fast, half mass, twice velocity one. Now that resulted in 4.25 to 4.5 inches compression every time.
It's the first attempt now to do that.
So what the fuck does this even mean? Could anybody, I mean, I have it sped up, but could that drivel mean anything? There's no context, there's no nothing.
2 kilograms at the velocity that I just measured over 35 test runs, almost twice the velocity.
And it's very, very, very important to remind Gary here that the reason it's going twice the velocity is nothing to do with it being half the mass now.
Okay, so Newton was wrong too. So this argument, you're not arguing with me, okay? Newton would say these things. If you have the mass, apply the same force, it's going to go twice as fast. That's Newton's physics. It's every professor's physics. You're claiming this 1.4 thing. You can't even cite me a single physicist saying it. So why don't you show me Professor Lewin explaining the 1.4 theory? Why don't you show me one single physics professor teaching their students? Why don't you show it out of the physics books? Why don't you show me a written paper where they explain how, yes, springs don't work. It's only 1.4. What the hell are you talking about? You're not arguing with me. You're arguing with something well established in physics, that momentum has to be conserved. It can't go nowhere.
Made it half the mass, and we made it go twice the velocity by changing the force behind it. Because
it doesn't even make any sense. I made it go twice the velocity by changing the force behind it. Well, duh. Yeah, if you double the force, then you'll double the velocity. Duh. What are you talking about? The only thing interesting here, he finally gets to the real experiments, and the real experiments that he claimed prove me wrong are obviously completely consistent with what I said. So once again, he's made a video saying he's debunked me, And in the video are clear clips verifying exactly what I claimed.
The mass, we could have quadrupled the mass and changed the force behind it to still make it go twice the velocity. The mass has got nothing to do with the reason it's going twice the velocity, Gary. Please don't misunderstand that, and if it's not misunderstood...
Again, this isn't me misunderstanding something. It's Newton's physics. You're saying Newton was wrong. Newton didn't understand how mechanics worked. Well, why don't you explain how he could possibly be wrong? So you just keep saying it, and your evidence sucks.
It's just you deliberately misleading people. Please stop doing that, because it's ruining people's...
Okay, so this is just a lie that I am misleading people when I have been misled by Professor Lewin. Let's name every single physics professor, right? Because not one of them agrees with you. Not one of them has ever cited this 1.4 thing. I mean, I'm going to listen to the rest of the Feynman clip, but Feynman certainly is unaware of the 1.4 principle.
Standing of it. The reason it's going twice the velocity is because we're making it do so. We're changing the energy behind it. In my case, by trial and error, adding weight to the gravity-driven push system. We're adding force behind it to make it go twice the velocity. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the mass now being hard.
Right. So when he pushes the reels with the same force, somehow you made the reel go faster. It wasn't the fact that it has half the mass. I mean, it's just too retarded. Yes, it's too retarded. All right. Anyway, so this doesn't show anything.
I say we can have the mass, anything we choose it to be. I honestly don't know whether it's your misunderstanding about that or whether you've just deliberately decided I'm going to fuck this guy out completely and totally misdescribe everything. A little bit. Hello.
So this is half the velocity, you know. So he's showing half in this column. I don't know what this means. What the fuck is this? He rubs his finger across and slides up his own numbers. I mean, he really is insane and crazy, right? This I shouldn't have to do this, right? All the people, supporting this as good physics, as something that should be responded to, that this is really good stuff. I mean, 15 positive comments. I mean, all you idiots think this is the way physics should be done. I mean, you really think this is reasonable? All these people, well, it's not that many, right? It's the same trolls. It's probably all Farley. I mean, we know wicked energy is Farley, so that's at least one Farley. And then, Steve Godfrey doesn't know anything about physics. Shit. All right. So anyway, I'll get to the comments eventually. This is just so bad. So, what I will do is, yes, I will now make a video on the right experiments for the other guy to do. Okay, so we can be done with this and get the experiments done properly.
The first attempt now to do that 2 kilograms at the velocity that I just measured.
Pretend you've just seen me achieving that velocity. That's this column here. That's the third column along here.
I pretend. Okay, I pretend you just did the experiment I suggested or something and the results came out exactly as I predicted. Oh, okay.
2 kilograms at force 2. The first few of the trial and error ones where I hadn't got the velocity right yet. And then the next ones were about 30 or so. Well, actually, no, 35, 36. 36 runs. Anyway, it averaged at, see at the bottom written down, how tiny writing. It averaged at 528. I was aiming for 515 milliseconds. So the velocity I'm actually using, it's supposed to be double the velocity, but it's actually just a little bit less than twice the velocity. But that's in Gary's favour rather than mine, okay? I'd rather it would be in Gary's favour than mine. So he can't go around accusing me of cheating, making it higher velocity than it needs to be. It's hard work, this is. So much information to pull together, and this is just one of many.
No, this is just so ridiculous. Okay, so here's the real experiment. So he pushes the reels, I don't know, with what exactly. And obviously the lighter one rolls twice as far as the heavy one, blah, blah, blah. Goes twice as far. Has twice as much energy, blah, 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 blah. Twice the velocity. That's the obvious point. It's obviously got twice the velocity. It goes from that point to that point at twice the speed of the other one. Any 2 points you pick.
About 22 in total, I last counted.
So exactly halfway, just exactly as I state. So exactly why doesn't this provide him some problem? Why doesn't he say, gee, maybe I'm wrong? I don't know. I can't understand any of this slop.
Lightweight one, well, it's the same position. You got an idea of what was going to happen there, didn't you?
A lot of them, throw away, but some of them are really good. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just in case it isn't entirely clear. Just in case it isn't entirely clear what's going on here. So there's where the red reel has ended. So the red reel has just hit that cushion. I'm in the way of it, unfortunately. But you can just see the top of the red reel there, just over my shoulder.
Right, you can just see that it's obviously twice the velocity. So this is the experiment he claimed a month ago proves me wrong. And it clearly proves me right.
Count. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That happens in the same time as the double mass reel reaches the halfway point. This is the starting point that they both set out at.
Count. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So start, end, and halfway. Hopefully that's clear. And I'll repeat this 2 or 3 times.
So it's just going down an incline or something, I guess. But, okay, whatever. So this proves me wrong. That was his big promise a month ago, that he proved me wrong with this experiment. Mm-hmm.
Very tricky holding back because it's a lot of pressure. So I've got to let go and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah!
1, 2, 3, 4. Ah.
Might not be quite bob on. I'll give it another go. Now you know what you're looking for. That's the start.
I mean, this is just too stupid, right? We didn't ask to see things over and over again. We actually see how you did it, and you still didn't show any of that.
In position. Push it up against the cushion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fine, it's alright when you were just watching it on a video. Round the fucker has got to make this shit work. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3.
So, I mean, just too silly. Like, nobody asked for redundancy. Nobody asked for any of this crap. We asked for more details about what you're doing. Well, anyway, let's just play. I mean, I'm started. Let's just play this and I'll be done with it. Point has been made. So what the fuck's the point of this? Okay, verifying. Red reel has just hit left cushion. In same time, double mass reel reaches halfway. So again, what's your argument? So how do you explain how that result isn't what you expect? You expect it to be 1.4.
The heavy one was a bit past halfway, wasn't it, when that one hit the barrier? So yes, so that needs to go a bit faster, doesn't it, the light one? It's still not quite at velocity 2, is it? So at the moment, this heavy one's got slightly more momentum.
This was only intended to be a rehearsal, but in the end, I thought, well, it's not going to get any better if I keep repeating it over and over again. I'm not going to get the results any better, I don't think.
Are you ready now? Are you ready now? A bit shit, wasn't it? When I do it with the fast one, that might be shit as well. I don't know. Do it. Let me line them up again. I've got to be honest, I was expecting it to be a bit better than that. 1, 2, 3. Not very impressive, is it? But then again, like I say, the other one might not be very impressive. So let's take the heavy one up. Can you see we've got a solid copper insert? Before I double its velocity, I'm just going to use the same pressure but on the lighter weight, where it's supposed to now go 1.4 times faster. Same energy, so it's being pushed with the same force. Go to. See, it's on the par, isn't it, with the other one, the heavy one. So it does look like same-ish energy as the previous one. You're going 1.4 times faster, pushed by the same weight. Half mass, 1.4 times faster, same kinetic energy.
I don't know. So where did he do this 1.4 faster thing? Same momentum, more kinetic energy. Where did he show that at all? I don't get it at all. Sorry, it just totally mystifies me how he interpreted that as a validation of anything but what I stated happens. What the fuck is this?
The same damage by the looks of things, in keeping with the formula, as I understand it. It is actually an interesting experiment. How many other people are even bothering to do it? Well, that was actually quite interesting, wasn't it? That was actually quite interesting, I must admit.
I mean, he's hardly glancing things, hitting them at some angle, and claiming the heavy one, the lighter object going faster, which I can't even see in this, frankly, somehow knocked over more stuff, he says. I mean, clearly not a scientific experiment. I mean, clearly just a pile of shit.
And that was better than I expected. So it did do like 1, 2, 3, 4, a bit more besides, really, didn't it? And that wasn't even quite double the velocity, was it? I'm quite impressed that it actually worked. That was better than I was expecting.
So bad.
Gotta be honest, I'm quite pleased with that from a point of view of proving Gary Shitterbrains wrong. It's evidence against his crap.
Okay, so there's really no point in going any further, right? He thinks that was evidence of something. So, yeah. So I surrender. If that's evidence, yeah, I'm doomed. If that's going to qualify as all the evidence you need to prove me wrong, then yeah, what's the point? There's no point. There's no civilization here. There's no reasonableness here. This is the most kangaroo-y court you could possibly get. You're fucking lunatics and insane. Why am I arguing with insane people? You're fanatic religious kooks. You'll go to any lengths to verify your silly religion, and this is the length you'll go to. You'll call this a scientific experiment. Fuck. Yeah, fuck. Nothing. Yeah, there's no point. All right, so I'm inevitably be going to have to go through this. But if somebody wants to just give me time codes to points that actually where he's actually proving something that makes sense, I'd appreciate it, because I can't find any of the sensible bits. All right, so that's enough. Whatever. Fuck you. Fuck this stupid, idiotic planet. You're a bunch of lunatics running around being validated. It's horrible.